as Black women in STEM, we felt very alone. We felt very, I guess, out of our depth as well. The higher we went, less people that we saw that looked like us. And that was really affecting our confidence, affecting our progress. And we used to call each other every day. And this was during my PhD and during Donna's undergraduate degree. And yeah, we would just cry to each other and say, we can't do this, can't do this. And then we would encourage one another to actually, that you can do it. And that sisterhood is what got us through our degrees and actually has got us to where we are today. And coming out of our degrees, we were like, we need to actually extend this to other girls. And that's how SiSTEM was birthed. And it was birthed through our struggles. And it's a community, it's a network, and it's also a form of inspiration as well.
Hello everyone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're looking after yourselves. As you can see, we have a new season of the Student Guide, and we're in a new location. One you might see a bit more often because we're now using Roundhouse Works, which if you've not checked out, I definitely would recommend. A little plug there. I promise they're not paying me to do this. But essentially, we've got two amazing guest speakers. I've had the pleasure of attending some of their events. I've seen them on Instagram. As I always say, I don't want to do the introductions because our guest speakers are amazing people and they deserve to, tell us about them. So I'm going to hand over to our guest speakers today. Abigail and Donna, could we please, I don't know which one of you would like to go first, but please could we know a bit more about you?
Yeah, usually Abigail goes first.
Yeah, I'll go first because I begin with an A. So my name's Abigail Ottery, also known as Dr. Abigail. And I am a PhD graduate, currently work as a medical communications manager in a communications agency. And I'm also the co-founder, alongside with my sister Donna, of SiSTEM.
Okay, it's my turn. Hi, everyone. I'm Donna, and I am a mechanical engineering graduate. Also did my master's in advanced mechanical engineering, and I am the co-founder of SiSTEM, which is a community to connect women and science.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. I guess the best thing to start off with first is what is SiSTEM? Because obviously there might be some people watching who might not know about you guys or SiSTEM and the work that you guys do. Again, whichever one of you would like to tackle the question, what is SiSTEM? Could we know a bit more?
So SiSTEM is an initiative that as we said, was co-founded by me and Donna. And we started it off because we, as Black women in STEM, we felt very alone. We felt very, I guess, out of our depth as well. The higher we went, less people that we saw that looked like us. And that was really affecting our confidence, affecting our progress. And we used to call each other every day. And this was during my PhD and during Donna's undergraduate degree. And yeah, we would just cry to each other and say, we can't do this, can't do this. And then we would encourage one another to actually, that you can do it. And that sisterhood is what got us through our degrees and actually has got us to where we are today. And coming out of our degrees, we were like, we need to actually extend this to other girls. And that's how SiSTEM was birthed. And it was birthed through our struggles. And it's a community. It's a network, and it's also a form of inspiration as well. So we do a lot of outreach work. We do a lot of events, a lot of speaking engagements, and also we do a lot of things through social media as well. So just to change the narrative of what STEM is, because a lot of people have there's a negative stigma when it comes to STEM, and a lot of people find it difficult, boring, and all these things. And we're just trying to change it. And there is a space for Black women on the STEM table.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. Do you have anything to add, Donna?
Yeah. So the reason why we created SiSTEM, as Abigail said, is because there wasn't space for us at the table. So we created our own table and made it pink. We are very big on our femininity. We are women. We are exactly who we are. We don't have to conform to the way everybody else looks. We like to look good, and we also love science. And so many girls out there feel like you can't be yourself, and we are just here to put them on a platform that you can look like us and you can be in STEM. That there's no specific look to be in science.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. Let's talk about because you both shared your journeys with STEM, and I'm gonna actually like target this to each one of you. So Donna, we're gonna start with you for this one. So what interested you in the field of STEM? Why did you decide that you wanted to study a STEM subject?
Initially, I didn't want to do science. Okay. I was just very creative. I loved music, but I come from an African household, so I don't think I need to say much more. And when I told my mum I wanted to be like an interior designer, she was just like, find something else. And then I went on the journey of like, oh, what was I good at? And naturally, I was really good at maths, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that there was an answer. It's later on in life that I realized that there's not always an answer. But at the time, when 1 + 1 equaled 2, so I was like, oh, I like this. Like, there's no like, oh, so many answers. With English, there was like so many answers that you could do. So yeah, I said maths is good, and I liked my creative side. I loved music at the time. I loved fashion. I loved makeup. So I was like, oh, what could I do with both of these things? Typed it in Google, and then engineering was the first thing that popped up. And I was like, yeah, engineering, this sounds exactly like what I wanted to be. Like, this is me. And then I went to school the next day, and I told everyone I wanted to be an engineer, and they're just like, okay, what's that? A mechanic? And I was just like, no, an engineer. And then I had to fight and tell people like, oh, this is actually something cool. Like, this is how things are made. This is all about fixing things. And at that younger age, I realized that there wasn't really an understanding of what engineering was, and especially coming from like a girls' school as well, that was also another barrier. But by the end of my school year, I got everyone on board, and in my yearbook, I was voted the person most likely to invent something. So, I won them over. So yeah, that is how my STEM journey began.
Oh, perfect. And Abigail, what about you?
Yeah, so kind of similar, but in terms of I wanted to do creative writing, so I wanted to be a writer, and I told my mum that that's what I want to do, and she was like, yeah, go and do a proper job. And I was like, what? Like, it is a proper job. She was like, no, you can do it alongside like something else, but do something like, people are doing law, people are doing science and all that. And I actually liked science. So it wasn't like I was forced into doing it. So I just kind of went to my science route because there was nothing else I was good at apart from, as I said, creative writing and drama at school. The other subjects I was really bad at. And science was just, the one that made sense. And I just really loved like the human body. I loved just the unknowns that we don't. There's so much unknowns in science, and that's what actually excites me. Especially when you're working on like an independent project, you're researching things, you're finding things that nobody's ever ever discovered, and that's something that really drew me to science, and made me go to PhD level because I just loved it that much. And at the time, none of my friends loved science, so it was really odd for some girl from Brixton to, when people are doing like media and everything. And I was like, no, I want to do science. It was quite odd, but I'm really glad that I stuck to it. And I still love science every day. And especially now, everyone's loving science. I think it's just after COVID or during the pandemic, everybody realized how important scientists were. And I was just so happy that I was at the time, doing research and I was in science. So
yeah. Oh, thank you. We've been talking about PhDs a lot. As we know, as the audience know, you have a PhD. I'd like to discuss that next because for a lot of people, whether they're watching or they're listening, I'm sure they know, well, I was under the assumption, I did my undergraduate, I did at least 2 years during COVID. So I was like, you know what, my master's can't be harder than that. And then my master's came and it showed me that it really could be. And I know, now that I've graduated, my parents were just like, oh, first doctor of the family, it sounds a bit nice. So yeah, I'm sure there are other people who might be watching and they might be wondering, one, not necessarily is a PhD worth it, but I guess how was your PhD journey? And then I'm going to switch this to Donna to ask, now that your sister is now a doctor, is a doctorate in the cards to you as well? So I'm going to start with you. Abigail, for this one just first. Could we know more a bit about your PhD journey? How was it? the highs, the lows, everything in between. Yeah.
I don't think we have time to go through the whole thing. But I will say that, my PhD journey, it started off quite, I'll say, good. Because it was something, so I was at the time working in clinical trials, and I realised that most of the people at the top, they all had PhDs. And the people that were doing the fun stuff, like who were doing controlling the trials and managing the trials, they all had a PhD. And I was like, okay, that's something I want to do. Like, I want to be in control. Like, I want to be at the top. So, that's how I decided to leave my job and apply for a PhD. And that whole thing wasn't easy because, leaving a full-time job, you're making money, and now you're really going to zero. Even though, you get a stipend if you've got a funded PhD, but it doesn't cut it. So I think that was the first shock I got, like the whole financial side of it. But it was something I did really love. Like, I loved the topic I was doing, and I would always say that never do a PhD if you don't like the topic. Like, don't do it. Like, it's not, I just want to be a doctor. Like, this thing takes over your life. Like, every day you're thinking about, even in your sleep. Like, so I worked on fruit flies.
Okay.
I worked on fruit flies, and I used to look under the microscope at them, and I would close my eyes at night, and I would see the fruit flies like under the microscope. I was like, no, this thing is actually crazy. So I would say, like, it really did take over my life, but because I enjoyed it, I pushed through, and I didn't know anyone who had done a PhD before, and I think that's something that I really struggled with, because if I had someone who just advised me and tell me that, just do it this way and all that. Obviously, I had my supervisor, but I just needed someone a bit like more close on my level to like tell me that, it's doable. Because it got to a point, especially during my third year, I felt like it wasn't doable anymore. And it was during COVID, during the pandemic, that I had to write my thesis. And I was doing like my last experiments, and then they announced the lockdown. Yeah. So I had to, move back home and then go back and finish those experiments. And the thing about science is it doesn't always work. So there was no guarantee that my experiments were gonna work in the time frame I had. I only had a few months to finish everything up. And that was the most challenging thing in my life. Wow. Like, so far. I don't know whether I'm ever going to get anything as challenging as that. But I will say a PhD, it is stressful, like, I'm not going to lie, but it's once you finish it, and once you just see that thesis written, you're just like, it's the biggest achievement and reward that you could ever get. So I always encourage people to do a PhD, but I just say, do it not because you just want to be a doctor, but do it because you're interested, and you really want to, you're really interested in that topic, really, because, as I said, it really gets you.
Oh, thank you. And Donna, are you the next person to be?
Spoiler gonna walk in her footsteps. I think this is a very hard question to ask. There is pressure from the higher authorities that when is it your time to follow the steps of your sister, and being the younger sister, I have to put that out there, I'm the younger one. Being the younger sister, there is a pressure to like do better, because she's opened the door, so go on, Donna. But the reason why I'm waffling is because I don't know how to answer your question. I've seen her do it, and because she's done it, and we've come from the same background, literally, same womb, I know I can do it. So, it might be in the pipelines in the future. Okay. Maybe give it like 4 years. Okay. Maybe before I retire, I'll decide to do it. Something like that. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Oh, no, thank you. And I definitely get that. Like I said, as soon as the graduation happened, my parents were just like, none of the other siblings have got a PhD. One of my old managers, she was just like, Dr. Jeffrey sounds kind of nice. You can stay a bit longer. And I was like,
sounds nicer.
Dr. Jeff.
Maybe the next episode we do, I would have started. You never know. We'll see. But I think going on to the next question, As our fans and our audience will know, we have a thing called Mik Check where we talk about like an interesting fact or figure, something relating to something that we've done before. And obviously, this episode, all being around representation, particularly for Black women in the field of STEM, we've spoken about that need for representation in higher education, especially when it comes to the field of STEM. We've spoken about it in general. But yeah, I guess going back and looking back to some of our earlier episodes, there were a lot of discussion of, both people on the team, like myself and other people on the team and some of the guests we interviewed saying, especially as a Black person, you're not necessarily always seeing yourselves in these like conversations. So whether it's, you're not seeing, this doctor did this and they were like Black, or you find, I don't know, you have to do a bit of research yourself and you find out actually, this person that created this technology was actually, a Black person, and then, whether a non-Black person came and then like sort of like monetized it, built something from it. So yeah, there's always that sort of like lack of representation when it comes to STEM, especially when it comes to Black people. So I guess I wanted to ask you both, why is that need for representation important? But this is, again, sort of like a two-parter, because representation, I guess, not only in the sense of like the past, so seeing how essentially Black people have influenced the field of STEM, but also why is it important now for especially for young people to see, there are Black doctors, there are Black researchers, there are Black engineers, things like that. We'll start with question number one of why is it important to see these influential figures from the past. Donna, I'm going to hand over to you.
I think for me, if you don't see it, you don't believe it. And it's such I know a lot of people say it, but it's so true. Like, I remember the first time I stepped into one of my old workplaces and I looked around and it was just like, am I in the right place? Is this a simulation? But and that affected me. It affected my confidence. And it was just like, why is it that it's only Black people, that is only security that we do, it's only cleaner that we do, and that there's no person at the top? And then you begin to think, is it my destiny to be a cleaner? Is it my destiny to be a security guard? But we are more than capable to be at the top places. We deserve to be at the top places. Diversity is important. And I'm going to come from an engineering angle because that's where, my speciality. Diversity is important because, especially when you're creating stuff, as an engineer, you create solutions. And if you do not have a wider perspective, you are only catering towards one group of people. You're only finding a solution towards one group, and another group suffers. So, and you can see that with a lot of things, even like with like the pollution and like it being in more Black areas and it being overlooked. If somebody of color was on the table, maybe they would have pointed it out sooner. So it's just stuff like that. That you think that, that diversity is actually really essential. It's not something like a tick box, like, at work, we just need one Black person here. Like, this is what we need to improve our society. So, yeah, we need to just see more people so that we can believe in ourselves and so that we can have the confidence to know that we can get up the ladder.
Perfect. And over to you.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, because even if we look at health as well, health doesn't affect just one group of people. Like, it's just not non-Black people can be ill. Like, that's not the case. And we see it a lot, people going to hospital and they're not treated fairly or they're not treated well. People don't understand that there's certain diseases that only affect Black people. And if people are not researching it, if there's no funding in these areas, how are we going to, understand it and actually make people treat people and make people feel better? So I would say that representation is really important, even like in the health field and in any STEM field, because we are the target. Everybody's a target, and we're not just talking about just Black people. We're talking about every group needs to be represented. So as Donna said, it's not a tick box exercise. It's actually a must. Like it needs to be done. And in terms of just knowing that a Black person, for example, invented something, I think that's really important, because we're not taught this history in school. In school, I don't even remember my history lessons, but I'm telling you, I never got taught anything about like any Black person inventing anything. But we do we do event things, and I think if we know this, then as Donna said, that would increase our confidence. It'll make us also appreciate ourselves as well, and put value on ourselves, because a lot of times we start to put ourselves down because we just don't know these things. But I think we need to, in a way, I wouldn't say change the history books, but change it. The history needs to be, the history's there.
Open a new chapter.
Yeah, and just really put that representation so that kids and youths and everyone can see that we do exist.
Yeah.
100%, and I agree. And I think especially linking it to the health thing, I think I mentioned it previously in a previous episode, but I know, like, for example, we're bringing it sort of to like my family, like my sister, when she was born, she was born with jaundice, and like you said, I think I don't remember if the doctor was black or not. I don't think they were, but essentially, like, the doctor that was looking after my mum and my sister when she was born, the doctor was just like, the child's perfectly healthy, they're perfectly fine. And my dad and my mum were just like, no, she's not. You can tell, like, if you look at her skin, she does not look like how she should be looking. And they were just like, no, like, we promise you, like, she's perfectly healthy. Like, I understand you're concerned. You're a new like, well, I mean, they already had a child, but they were just like, oh, it's a new child. Every parent's a bit concerned. And they were just like, no, like, we want to see, like, a more senior doctor. We want to get this checked, all of this stuff. And then, lo and behold, they checked, found out that she did have jaundice, and they were able to treat her. But I know even for her, because she started up a business or an organisation, essentially, that's looking to address that and empower especially women of colour when it comes to their birthing decisions, to give them that sort of knowledge of what you can do as a mother when it comes to childbirth. So whether it's challenging the doctor on certain decisions, whether it's, making sure that, like what we said here, that you are represented and you feel like your voice is being heard and isn't being dismissed because, you're being seen as, like, whether it's the angry black woman or the angry black man. But actually, no, people actually diving in and saying, oh, actually, you've raised a concern. Let's look into this. Let's see, like, if there's something that we need to look at. Here is really good. I know we sort of touched on it, but I think it'll be good to even dive into it a bit more. Was the idea of, like, a need for especially young people now to see people, I guess, living now doing stuff that they did. Now, the reason why this is going to be super complicated for anyone watching is because I recorded the next episode earlier this week. So I would say when that comes out, come back and watch this part and you'll make sense. But essentially, I had this really interesting discussion with the next guest speaker, and it was all about this idea of, young people, why they needed to see essentially, like, representation, especially when it comes to, like, black people. Why do they need to see themselves represented? And we were talking about how there's this idea of, like, especially with social media, there's this whole idea of, like, certain fields or, like, certain careers being the only thing that certain people see. So whether it's, I see this person's, like, they won Love Island and they've now got, like, they're now an influencer, or they're an influencer and now they're a movie star and stuff like this. And I know not even just within, like one field, like, across different fields, people have said this whole idea of, like, oh, because you're sort of, like, I know, marketing, you've got this amazing life or things like that, you're not necessarily showing the holistic version or being accurate with your representation when it comes to, especially for young people, especially when it comes to essentially people of colour. So I guess the reason, this second part of the question was all about, like, specifically now, why is it important? Because I know there's a tendency, and I know even from, like, I liked history, so I didn't mind learning. I always like learning things about the past, but I know that we had that discussion, and we were talking about that there are some young people that are just like, the past is the past, I don't need to learn from it, nothing's going to, like, there's nothing good that's going to come from learning from the past. And I think it's really interesting to hear from both of you. Why is it important? If people are adamant they don't want to learn history, cool, that's fine. But why is it important for young people nowadays to see, like what we were saying here, like a 25-year-old doctor who worked possibly on the vaccine, or a 35-year-old engineer who worked on, I don't know, like, fixing a like the Millennium Wheel, or stuff like that. Like, why is it important for all of these careers, and not specifically, like, I'd say specifically in the field with STEM, but why is it important for them to see, like, people, I guess, close to them, or even in their community, so to speak, I'm going to start with Abigail for this one.
Yeah, I think it touches on what Donna said earlier about me. But like, I think if you see somebody who's close to you, or is around like, similar background, similar age, you just feel like you can do it. And it just gives you that more of a confidence and more of a belief that, oh, I can actually do this. Like if I had somebody when I was doing even my degree, if I just knew someone who had gone there before, I would have had that more confidence, be like, oh, it's doable. Like I can actually, finish this degree and I can become a scientist. But because I didn't see it, there was points where I was like, maybe it's not for me because I don't know anyone that can do it. And it just makes it more, I don't know, when it's relatable, it makes it more like, I don't know, what word can I use? Like, just more attractive, I'd say. Like you want to do it. Same way like people look on their phones and they see all these Love Island people on their, and they're enjoying on holiday and stuff like that, whatever. But if you went on your phone and you saw someone, on the ward, you saw someone in the lab, you saw someone on site, and you're like, oh, this person's actually like, you're doing, it makes it, I don't know, it just makes it more attractive. Like now I really appreciate that. Like now on my social media, like for example, my LinkedIn, I'm so inspired every day when I open it because I just see a lot of Black people the same, like, around the same age as me who are doing amazing things. And I'm like, oh wow, like this is just, it just uplifts me. So I think it's really important to have that person that is around, like that you can relate to, just for your inner confidence and so that you can really believe that you can do it.
Yeah.
I think for me is the example that's coming in my head. Yeah, I don't know if anyone remembers the Argos catalogue. Yeah. When I was younger, I used to like circle all these things that I wanted, like a Game Boy, all of this, and like, oh my gosh, wow. But at the time, there was no money for the thing. But as soon as I got my job, it became easier to like, oh, today I can buy a Game Boy if I wanted to buy it. So I think it's the same way as like, sometimes if you don't see the thing, you would think, oh, it's not attainable. Like, it's only like a dream. But when you have like people around you, you now have the confidence, which you can now say is the currency to buy the thing. See what I did there?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's really important to see people around you, especially like people from your area. We don't come from the best of areas, Our area, if you type in Google, I don't think much nice things will come up. But what we're trying to do is change that narrative that you can come from wherever you come from and you can be successful in your career. You can love science. You don't have to be living the top boy life. No one's trying to say here. But yeah, and especially being a woman, it's so important to have other women around you because we are the minority in STEM, unfortunately. And yeah, when you have another woman like cheering you on, it's just magical. It's just, I don't know, you feel like you can just conquer the world. Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. And I think kind of like what you mentioned, like my old manager said she runs like a STEM outreach thing. And she, like literally discussed it before we were recording, but like one of the things that she does is she does like an annual Women in STEM summer school. And she said the reason why she did it was because one of her students that graduated, I think she went into the field of like, went into engineering and she works on a construction site. And she said what she really likes is that this person would like, she like on the site, she's not wearing any makeup, she's like getting the job done, but like she still enjoys herself as a young person. Like she'll she said like she'll put on the best makeup, she'll do all of this. So she said when she started it, she was just like, I want you to come like, like just come like suited and booted. Don't tell anyone like what you do. Just come here and then deliver the talk. And if people are asking you, just keep it vague. And she said what was really interesting is all those young people that were, or especially those young girls that were in the audience and heard her like do her talk, they were just like, wait, what? Like, a woman in construction can like look this nice or like dress this nice. And she was just like, that's what I want to see, because I want people to know that actually, yes, if you go into a certain field, if you go to like, to study a certain subject, that doesn't mean that you can no longer be like, I guess, who you were. And like what you said, both of you were saying before about like this whole idea of, you need to see someone else do it so you can know like, oh, cool, like I can get there. I know that's the same thing with like many of the people that we have on the podcast and all the stuff we even do on the podcast, because we want people to see like, yeah, you can like dream big and do, like, if you're interested in something, you can go and do that, and that there's no limitations on what you do. But yeah, thank you both for that. Because I think generally, like I said, there, especially in an age where like short form, quick and easy content is getting thrown in your face, and people. Actually, yeah, I will ask this. People are celebrating. Yeah, I didn't plan this, I promise. Like, we had no question planned. I completely forgot. But this nicely transitions, because one question that we were asking people a lot was this whole idea of, could you give a story or a moment where a failure, like something didn't work out, but then actually it turned out it redirected you to where you wanted to actually go, or like where you needed to be, actually, I think is the best way to word it. Yeah. I hand over to you guys. If you've got one lined up.
That's the story of my life. Yeah, because I can think of, okay, my basic example is when I wanted to do medicine at first, and I applied. Well, so GCSE did really well. Got to A level. Yeah, I didn't even do not even well. I just didn't do at all. Like, it was really bad. And I was told to do something else, choose a completely different career. But I stuck with it. I was like, no, I really want to do medicine. So that's why I did biomedical science. I did that, and then I applied again. I didn't get into medicine again. And I at that point, I thought my life was over. So I went to go and do a master's because it was basically the only thing I could do. Like, my mum said I wasn't allowed to stay at home. She was like, you're not staying in this house doing nothing. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go and do a master's. So did that. And even after that, I was thinking, like, people were telling me, oh, apply again for medicine. But then I started to see that actually medicine's probably not well suited for me. And I always say I think I would be the worst doctor ever. Like, I don't even know. Like, when someone's fainting, I'll just leave them to faint. I would not go and help anybody. I'll probably be crying all the time. Like, yeah. So it was good that I stayed far away from the ward. But I always say that I was redirected, because if I didn't go and do biomedical science, I wouldn't have known that I could have a career in research. And even the job that I'm doing now is completely, it kind of, I guess, marries my two passions, which is communicating with people and also science, like being involved in the science and still working like with doctors. And so like it all made sense, like why I had to go through that long way, because I could have just easily, started off, just done biomedical science, and then quickly like done something and then gone into the communications. But I feel like I had to go through all that for me to number one, appreciate the field more, and for me to also tell my story to people. And I think a lot of times it's important we don't like keep quiet. Like, we actually tell our stories. And before I used to keep quiet. I never used to tell anyone about my failures. But I think it's really important that we show our failures as equally as we show our successes as well. So I guess, yeah, I was redirected into the field of research. So, that was my example.
My example happened more recently. And it was just after my last exam for my master's. I was looking for a job, and then I found one, and I got through like the first interview. They loved me. I was just like, I got this. Nothing could stop. Like, I started to, when you start to visualize yourself in a workplace, I was just like, yeah, this is for me. Then I had the second interview, but on that day, it was the same day as my viva for my thesis, so it was very stressful. And they asked me to do like a test, and the test was just so like, I don't know, it was just so silly. It's something to say. The test was just really silly. And then I was trying to do the test, but I was also thinking about my viva. And then while I was doing the test, I was under pressure. Like, I don't know if you remember. I was just sitting in the kitchen, like, confused for a good 2 hours. I was looking at the test like, oh, can I do this? And then I ended up just submitting anything. And then they came back to me, and they were just like, in the interview, so do you think you pay attention to detail? And then, you obviously have to get them. I was like, yeah, I love paying attention to detail. I'm very particular about things. And they were like, oh, but there was a spelling mistake in your test. And I was just like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. And then from there, I kind of knew where it was going. I was just like, oh, as engineers, like, well, spelling's not really that great, yeah. So I kind of knew where it was going. And then, I got on, unfortunately, email, like the next 10 minutes. I was broken. I was just like, oh my gosh, because all my friends as well, they all had jobs after lined up. So I was a bit like, oh, what am I going to do? And then what I did was SiSTEM. I just started pouring all my energy into SiSTEM. And then through that, I kind of learned about the role that I was in before. And that's how I got introduced to the job at the Royal Academy of Engineering through SiSTEM. It was so funny because I don't think I would have ever found that the academy or anything if we didn't go forth with SiSTEM and if I didn't get rejected from that job because my heart was set on that job. And so even at the academy, I made so much more money than what I was going to receive at that job. And the academy is the big daddy of, all of the institutions. So that was the place that I needed to be. And I feel like during my time at the academy, I've grown because they gave me the space to be me. And I felt at that institution, it was very everyone's the same. So, I would have suffered. But at least here, there's a ACS society. So, I can still vibe with my two people and I can still be myself. And so I was able to grow as an individual and also in a skill, learn completely different skills that I never thought I'd learn. And if I didn't get rejected from that job, I think I would have been very stagnant and very stressed as well because they didn't have the funds to have a big team. So, God is good.
God is good. God is good. And it's only fair if I share one too, because we've all been sharing our stories. But I think like we said, there's a lot I could pick from. My A levels, similar story. GCSEs were good, all went well. AS was tough, and then my year was the wonderful year when the government decided that your A level, your AS. So they got rid of AS for certain subjects, and you literally only had an A level. So you literally go straight. You'd year 12 essentially wouldn't count for a lot of subjects. So I think for me, when I applied for my course, they wanted I think it was BBC or either BCC, and the B had to be in physics. I ended up getting CCE, and the E was in physics. Now, to me, honestly, to me, even to this day, I didn't even know my grades. I just on the day of of results day, I literally llogged on, I know friends who, everyone's been told, oh, if you don't get an email from your university the day before, then that means you didn't get in. For me, I was just no, I'm not checking anything. I was just I'll check UCAS in the morning, call it a day. So I logged into UCAS. I got accepted into Brunel. Brunel was my insurance, my second choice. So I was like, you know what? Cool. I don't even care about the grades. I'm at uni. I don't have to go through clearing. It's been a good ride. And it was only literally when I got there that I was just oh, these were my grades. And like what you were saying, Abigail, I was the same. I was just I shouldn't really tell anyone my grades and stuff like that. And coming back to the school, I was just I see people and they ask me. But literally, I don't know if my dad remembers saying this, but my dad was just no, you got CCE and you that doesn't mean anything. You're just there might be someone who's thinking I won't even pass my A levels period, so I might as well just drop out now. And you just tell people it's going to be tough, but you can see the other side. But it's not necessarily a redirection, but I think a really nice moment linking to this. One, because A-level results day, I guess, was almost a month ago. But something really important to me was, so one of my lecturers, I don't know if they remember saying this, but they were just I was helping out with an open day once. We were just talking about the course and stuff like that. And he was saying oh, what did you get for your A-levels? And I was well, I got a CCE and I got the E in physics. And he was just oh, well, based on the subjects that you did, because I did drama and history, so there was no clear link between any of the three subjects that I did. I just liked all three, and I was just let's just go with them. He was just oh yeah, based on your grades, you probably I probably wouldn't have let you so he wasn't head of the course at the time, but by the time I started, he was, and he was oh yeah, I probably wouldn't have let you on the course with it. And I was cool. Because I was I don't know what you wanted to say. If you wouldn't, that's great. But I was just thanks for that. But for me, I say it's humble, but it doesn't sound like it. But for me, the great thing was when I was graduating from my master's, they were there, and as the audience may know, it was like some people know. Like, that's my glasses case. For the longest time, I kept a secret that I was going to do a speech on my graduation from a lot of people. I didn't tell my friends. I didn't really tell my family. So for me, it was just, a lot of people didn't know. And it was only because I had to take time, like I worked at my university, so I had to take time off work to practice and then do the speech. So like only the people in my office found out like the week of the graduation. But for me, what I really liked was they were in the audience and like I was doing my speech and I was just like, hey, look, like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter like what you get. I was just like, at the end of the day, the most important thing is you've done this, and while you may feel uncertain about your future, while you may feel like you're in these small beginnings that you don't know like where's next, I was like, greatness is gonna come from it. It might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, it might not even happen until like 5 years time, but just keep believing, keep having faith in yourself, trust in God, and like this will happen. And for me, that was like, while it's not necessarily like a failure to like fitting in the narrative of the question, for me, I really liked it because even afterwards, like I saw them and like they were just like, oh, like great speech, we shook hands, and I was just like, you might not remember that you told me that, but like I do, and like I'm just here to say, and for me, even like the fact that after I graduated, even though I was still working at the university for a bit, I literally had another job lined up outside, because I know there's a tendency, like especially if students are looking for jobs, they usually will just come and work at their university for a bit. So for me to then even leave afterwards, and I'm working in a different area, I'm doing something that I really enjoy. For me, I was just like, look, like I'm shaking your hand here, and you were saying like you wouldn't have even let me into the university. Well, look, I'm now a master's graduate. I've got a job lined up at like an amazing organization. I'm going to be doing like amazing work there. And yeah, for me, that was just amazing, because that was like God saying like, haha, like, like they underestimated you, but you came back. But yeah, I think that's the most important thing. So yeah, I guess the whole point of this question was to just basically inspire you guys to be like, even if things don't work out in that moment, there are so many things that could happen by other doors opening. And yeah, people have been saying that to me too. So yeah, if you needed to hear it, you've heard it here. But yeah, I'd like to go to the next question, because it's, well, we actually first met in person at your celebration of 1 year of SiSTEM. Now, you've had a busy year. You've done a lot. I don't have the list of like everything you've done in this 1 year. Mental health is really important to us at Pick Up the Mic, and we love to share resources that can support your mental health. And that's why we are so glad to have today's sponsor. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get you started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live appointments when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't right for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at an affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/pickupthemic. I've also linked them down below in the description. So again, that's betterhelp.com/pickupthemic, MIC, and start your journey today. Yeah, but there are two things that I'd like to ask. So the first question, and it might be the hardest question to ask, is what has been your favourite moment from this first year?
Oh. I can think of a moment.
Okay.
No, it's too many. Okay, I can think of two where it really stood out. The first one was actually the event. both of the events, just seeing people in real life and them coming up to you saying hi, Donna, and I'm just like, oh, you know me. But yeah, it's just like people saying how much they appreciate what we do and the community that we and the space that we provide for them. It's just sometimes like, I sit down and I actually cry. I'm just like, wow, like we actually started something from our struggles. And yeah, a year ago, if you told me that this is what we would have done, I'd be like, yeah, you're lying, because I was failing my masters. So it's just like, I don't know, it's just a wow moment. Like something, when I mean like I cry in the shower, like, thank you, God, that you have turned my like tears into happy tears. And now other people are able to like build on that and have that support that we didn't have. I don't know, it's just such a fulfilling thing to just have. Like, I go to bed smiling because I just know that, you know, I can be a blessing to someone else. The other moment is when we went to secondary school and we did this confidence workshop with the girls. And I was speaking to a girl and she was like, she didn't know that confidence is not about like the loudest person in the room, that you can be shy and confident. And she really appreciated the little workshop that we did with them. Just like, yeah, even just teaching them how to be yourself and not conforming to trends and stuff. Just be you. And I wish somebody came to my secondary school and told me those things, that I didn't have to just, I don't know, be the loudest person or shout to have my voice heard, that I could just be me. And now I feel like I am seeing the fruits of all the hard work and yeah, and all the lessons that I've learned, that I am now seeing like the benefits, and I'm living the good soft life now. Yeah, so those are my favourite 2 moments.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to give 2 because you gave 2. So I think the first one will be our first ever feature. It was with Dr. Sheeny.
Yeah.
So we were in a magazine, the Engineering and Technology magazine. Okay. And I think that was just I was like, someone actually wants to listen to us and hear our story. And when I saw our picture and like the whole interview, I was just so overwhelmed that, you know, for many years, I didn't tell my story. And I was just thinking of myself as a girl, you know, a random girl who's like 17 or, you know, something, and she's reading the magazine and she sees these 2 girls who like, you know, are from a similar place from her. And in that magazine, we took a picture in front of so we're from Brixton, if I haven't said. So we took a picture. Yeah, just a little plug there. So we took a picture in front of like a very well-known place in Brixton. And I just felt really proud of that, because when I was younger, I remember going to like a medical like it was a conference, but it was like for medical students. And I went there and they asked us where we from, and I was like, South London. I couldn't even say the place I was from because I was so embarrassed. And now I don't care. Like, that's why I keep on saying where we're from, because so many years I felt so ashamed of it. But actually, like, where we're from has really shaped us and has really helped us and is really part of the story as well. And that's why I really loved that interview, because it was showing the world who we are. And through that interview, we've had so many collaborations and so many people contacting us through that, saying that they really appreciate our story. And then...
can I just add that interview came out when we were in Ghana as well. We were in our homeland. And it came out. I was just like...
it was such a moment. And then the second one was actually happened quite recently. I went to my friend's PhD graduation in my old university, and then someone just stopped me and was like, "Oh my gosh, are you are you Abigail? Are you you have an organization called SiSTEM?" And I was just like, "What?" Like, I was like, "Yeah." And it's not the first time. Like, one of the times as well, like, some people came up to us at an event and were like, "Oh yeah, we're coming to your event." And we too were like so confused. We're like,
Yeah, we're like, what event?
wait, what event? And then we remembered we had an event. It was just so like, it was just the joy that they have, like when they knew who we were.
Yeah.
And I think that recognition was really important for me, not because I want to be known, but because there was so many times where I felt like I wasn't seen. And at that moment, I felt very seen. And I felt that because she was also a black woman in STEM, and she was saying how she was really inspired and things, and she really loves the work we're doing. And it's just seeing the impact, the real life impact of SiSTEM and the work that we're doing, and the fact that we're sharing our story has been really powerful, because if we didn't see that, I don't think, you know, that we didn't see the fruits of our labor. But now we're really seeing that, and I think it's very emotional, as Donna said, and it's very
it's not a joke. I actually cried.
but because I always just think of how I was when I was younger, and if I just had that encouragement, I would be even much. Our parents always say this kind of stuff, like, "Oh, if I had like someone to encourage me when I was your age, and I'll be so far." But it's so true, like, and I'm just hoping that the next generation, it would be easier for those coming up as well.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. And then, I guess one thing to also mention is, I've got on my laptop here, that you guys obviously were 2023 award winners with the Rising Star.
Oh, that's Abigail.
That's Abigail.
Yeah.
That's Abigail. Could we know a bit about that? Because it's in the email signature. So I'm like, we can't just not talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's the third
highlight.
That was definitely a personal highlight for me, because, as I said, have not been recognized ever. So that was, for me to even win. I'll just tell a quick story of when the first time I won something in my life. It was in secondary school, and we had awards ceremony, and I won like awards for French, maths, every subject basically. And I kept on being called, because you had to be called on the stage. I kept on being called on the stage, and I would hear like people's parents saying, "Is she the only one in the school?"
You know me, I was cheering. I was like,
so like, this Abigail, and then someone even said, "Oh, just stay on the stage." Me too, I thought that they were being like
nice.
Nice. No, like, don't know. My dad was telling me like the stuff they were saying about me.
Looks.
So since then, I have not won anything else in my life. So to be recognised, and this, organisation, they really, they encourage women, they really support women, and they showcase women, and I really find that it's just basically what we believe in. So they chose 100 women who are doing amazing things across different sectors. And it was just amazing to see so many women in like business, in finance, in so many different things that I probably wouldn't have met on a normal, on a more normal day. But to be part of those women, it was just such an honor. And it's a great organization, and they really support the winners. And I'm really looking forward to the next stage with them as well. And since then, I've, got recognition in my workplace as well for that. And I just, I was just really quiet. I didn't tell anyone about SiSTEM and stuff. I did mention it in my interview when I was getting in, just, to get the job, I did mention it. But now, like, I was able to talk to my colleagues, like the whole company, and talk about my the work that we do. And, and everyone was recognizing, and people now, when I go to work, people are like, "Oh, how's, like, I can freely talk about it now." And I think that was what the We Are the City Award really opened that door for me. So it was definitely, like, I'll say, like, proudest moment of my life so far.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. We've now gone to the last question before I hand over to Donna and Abigail to ask me the question that they've prepared for me today. The last question, I think, is probably one of the most important, which is, who or what inspires both of you?
Oh, gosh.
Wow, that's very...
The one question I didn't think about. Okay, so for me, I think first and foremost is my faith. Yeah, that is what keeps me going. Like, that's the fuel to my fire. People always ask me, like, "Oh, how'd you get up?" It's because I know that I'm rest assured, like, that I've got someone behind my back. Like, if I wake up, I'm going to be happy. Like, no matter what happens in the day, if I wake up, I'm given, like, a new joy. And if it was speaking about a particular person, I would say Abigail really inspires me. Oh, this is gonna get all emotional. Yeah, Abigail really inspires me. Not because she's amazing. No, that's all the stuff. Not because she's a we are the city winner, but because we came from the same place. Mm-hmm. So if I see Abigail going far, I know I can get there as well. Mm. And yeah, I've seen like her small beginnings as well. Mm. She says that in a lot of interviews that she's not the smartest person. This is true. Yeah, like I think Abigail can even be testament to we both do like very silly things. Like the common sense is not very common with smart people. So seeing somebody coming from that background, and I know that our financial situation at home, I know that my mum came from Ghana and my dad came from Ghana. They both did cleaning jobs. Like, I know where we came from. So for her to get that far, it just kind of motivates me on another level. It's just like, I know that there is possibility for me to get out of any, I was going to say bondage, but that sounds very like spiritual. But, any barriers, I can break any barriers because she's done it. She's gone before me and she's done a good job at doing it. And now she's created an organisation. So, big up Abigail.
I'm you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll say the same thing. Faith, like my Christian faith has really helped me throughout. I don't think I would have survived otherwise, especially during the end of my PhD. It was very, like, I don't really talk much about it because it was very, like, I would say very dark. I was in a very low place, but God got me through it. And then I would say also my mum, which is actually quite funny, especially for people that know our mum as well. They know she's a very strong woman. She's very, she started, as Donna said, she came from Ghana. She got a degree when she was in her 40s. And we were all in school. We saw her, like, she had, 3 kids, and she still went to South Bank and got her master's degree, like her first degree and master's degree in computing. And I mean, she don't use it now, but because
calling us
to do the printer and email and everything. But the fact that she was able to get a degree even when it wasn't norm for people, and she was very determined to do it as well, and be a mother, be a wife, be everything, and then still get that degree. And that I always remember as well. So that's how, like, when she said that she should go do like a master's, I knew that that's the minimum. That was the minimum because that's where she had been. So I was like, okay, because she's been there, I can also do it as well. And it was true. Like, it was good to have somebody who aimed high and made me also aim high as well. But yeah, so I think she's definitely inspiration because I was able to see it, and then I was able to like dream even bigger than what I was seeing around.
Yeah, no, that's really nice. And yeah, I definitely agree. Like, my dad always says it, that the like minimum that he gets to, the maximum that he gets to, or my siblings get to, like, that's where we've got to like pick up and know that like that's the minimum that we can ever get to in life. So yeah, no, definitely agree. We're now going to go on to passing the mic, where I'm not, as you can see, we've all got mics, so I'm not literally passing any of them, but instead I'm going to hand over to Donna and Abigail. You can ask me one question. If you want to ask me a couple, you can ask me a couple. But yeah, please let me know what you would like to ask me.
Oh, are we putting you on the hot seat?
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so my question is more about why you started Pick Up the Mic. Where did the name come from as well? Okay. Yeah, did you literally pick up a mic? Yeah, so what was your motivations behind this? And also a little add-on, where do you see it going in the future?
Ooh, okay, I like it. Two-parter. Yeah. So to start with, Pick Up the Mic all came about because all the way back in I always keep getting the year wrong, but essentially it started in 2020. So obviously we were still in the pandemic, still at home, still doing this whole worried about if there'd be enough toilet paper, or when we could go shopping, all this stuff. And essentially it came into the next academic year. So I was going into my final year for my undergraduate, and I was speaking to they were doing the union elections. I was going to be the BME officer at my student union. I was campaigning. As I said, because it was during lockdown, everything was online, so you had to like message every group chat you were part of, like message every, like even my friend was just like, oh yeah, you know, like everyone who follows the student union, like just check if there's like, you know, just send them a quick message and be like, you got. So literally that whole like, I think it was like a 2-week open window of like campaigning, I was like messaging everyone as much as possible, and even like going for that position like that was something that happened last minute. So I had like a meeting with the person who like runs the campaigns about what I can and can't do, but yeah, like had all these really interesting discussions with people about like, oh, like as a student, like what do you want essentially from Brunel? Like what are the things that you feel like you actually would like to see implemented? And people were saying like, you know, working more with like Black-owned businesses to get placements and to get like possible career opportunities. People were saying that there were things that I put in my like manifesto people didn't even know existed. So like the fact that Brunel gives money to entrepreneurs every year, like you apply for a competition, you do a bit of pitching, you can win money for your business, and they don't like that money isn't something that they'll track and be like, oh yeah, you know. We own part of your business. They literally just independently give you that much money. There's a career service that your university will like support you with interviews and CVs and all of this while you're at university, but also for 3 years afterwards. So a lot of things that people didn't know about. And like I was thinking, oh, you know, I want to ensure that people are aware of these things. They can have these safe spaces. And yeah, I didn't get it. So the results day came again. It was online. It was over Zoom. It was very, actually no, you know what, that's a lie. They didn't actually do it online because I think I tried to join the live stream, and then like I think too many people joined, so it crashed. So instead they decided to like put it out on like Twitter, which was even more hectic because they were doing it like bit by bit. So people were just like, cool, I'm just looking to know like, was my friend elected for this? So my friend messaged me and he was like, oh yeah, I just saw like, you know, you weren't elected. And I was like, you know, told my family, it's a bit upset at the moment, but I was just like, you know, it is what it is. Came to like a few days later, and I was like, oh, but actually like there was so much discussed with like people that like I just feel like if I was to just drop it here and call it a day, it wouldn't feel right with me. And I said like there are so many people that didn't know about all these resources that I feel like these are things that people need to know. So instead, like I spoke to my friends who helped me campaign. I was like, hey, look, I've got this idea. Let's just do a online. It was gonna, so like this was coming into probably like 2021, like January. We're just like, let's aim then to do like a online discussion, like a speaker series every 2 weeks. People can come, they can join, they can like meet people, they can just network, things like that. And then they can like see us interview someone. And then if they've got any questions, ask the person directly. And then, yeah, I literally, like, the name came from my sister, because I was just literally just like, I don't have any ideas. We just want to do something, like, around encouraging, like, sharing resources, encouraging people to get active. And she was just like, oh, well, you're telling people to, like, you know, get active, you're doing interviews. She said, like, oh, like, pick up the mic might be, like, a good idea. And I was like, you know, it sounded really good, like, stuff. But yeah, I was coming to, like, the actual day of the thing. And, like, at that time, like, we weren't seeing, like, a huge number of people signing up. And then I turned around to everyone. I was like, hey, look, a lot of people aren't signing up. And I said, I don't think it's because the idea is bad. I just think it's more to do with like what it is. Because I asked them, because all three of us were at uni. We were all doing different things. And all, like, I think they were, my two friends were doing a master's. I was doing my undergraduate. And I was just like, I don't know if you guys feel like this, but I hate Zoom meetings. I'm like bored. I'm tired. Like the amount of times people join meetings and not mute, or they mute themselves halfway through, or they turn their cameras on when they shouldn't. Yeah. So I was just like, you know what? Let's just not do it as an online series. I was just like, let's just cancel all of that. Let's then change it and let's see if we can do it as like something else. So we were just like, let's try a podcast. And none of us had ever done podcasting before. We didn't have any of the equipment. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just like, look, we've got an idea. We're very passionate about it. Let's just try it. So we did our first episode all on Zoom. The three of us just recorded it. Like we recorded because we were only doing like audio. All our cameras are off because we were just like, we don't want anything to interrupt the internet connection. And we were like, let's just try it. So my friend Samuel, he like researched, like we had ideas of what it would be on, about how to follow your passion in a difficult world, and how you can still sort of not necessarily be you might like, I guess kind of like with today, you might be interested in the field of STEM, or you might have a career in STEM, but you can still be a creative. And yeah, we find it super funny. We, like, none of us have ever gone back to listen to that first episode after release. There were good things, there were bad things. I think I said it before. There's like a 4-minute gap in the episode because when I was editing it, I didn't see that there was a gap. So there's like a bit like halfway through, it just cuts out and then you just hear nothing. But for me, I've always said I've left it there as like a testament to see where we've come from, because now that we're doing like a video series, like it's now got video, like we know what we're doing, we're using professional microphones, we've got spaces we can use. Like to us, that's just been the biggest change. So yeah, that's, I guess, the story of Pick Up the Mic. And then, yeah, I think after our first season of our original podcast, which was literally just called Pick Up the Mic, we then left it. Went on to do YouTube, and then we sort of added some stuff. And now, at this point, we're, rather than being one podcast, we're multiple podcasts under a podcast network, which is now called Pick Up the Mic. To where we're going next, like I have plans. I have discussed like whether it's I want to do as well, particularly with the group. I want to do more in-person things to build like more of a community gathering with our like community in person. There will be some stuff I need to figure out. Like I said, life is busy, but I need to figure it out. But yeah, we're planning to do some events. We're like, the funny thing is, even though we've been around for like coming up to, we're literally past 2 years in March, like almost coming up to our third year. We've actually never done like an in-person like celebration. That's mainly because like trying to do anything in Central London is expensive. And like trying to organise any event is expensive. But yeah, we
in a cost of living,
and in a cost of living crisis as well. So we're trying to figure out where we can do it, but we want to do like an in-person, I guess, official launch, but also like a celebration to celebrate how far the podcast has come and all the people we've worked with and have supported and all of this. So that would be, I guess, the biggest thing. Second thing is definitely to work with more individuals, I guess kind of like we're doing it today, with more like businesses, and to like highlight them. We want more people to come on and to share their experience. Because I always say with the episodes, while it's great to have you guys on, at the end of the day, you're essentially sharing your resources, your knowledge. So I've always told anyone that's like been on, hey, if you want to like we post on LinkedIn anyways, but I'm like, if you want to like put on LinkedIn, you're on the podcast and like cut it up and share it and whatever. I was like, cool. Like at the end of the day, this is you. If you want to mention it in an interview, like you're not mentioning it to promote views for me. At the end of the day, you're doing it for you because you on the podcast, you're sharing all these knowledge and these resources. So working with more individuals. And then last but not least, I think for us as a team, we just want to give back more, which I mean, I know that we do with like the advice and stuff we share, but like supporting people more with stuff. So whether this is to do with their career development, whether this is to do with like giving them opportunities to speak, because we've like literally like we was talking about like turning failures, like something not working out, and then like a redirection that was even better. Like we know that like there were a lot of things that we like applied for. We've been looking for funding. Like a lot of this is self-funded. So like we've all put a lot of like time and effort into this. So I think for us to share that knowledge with people and be like, hey, look, these are the do's, these are the don'ts. Like, if you want advice on like stuff to do, like we can help you. That is one of the most important things that I'd like to do, because I feel like there's a lot of things that people don't know, and they'll go out, they'll try it, they'll do it, and then things won't work out. But yeah, that's essentially where we want to go in the future.
Amazing.
Thank you. Abigail,
I've got a little fun one.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So if we were talking about eventing things. If you could have evented anything, what would it be and why?
That's a good one. The audience know I'm the worst when it comes to picking one thing, even though I always ask it questions. So I'll do 3.
3?
Yeah, because I can't top
That's
3.
cheeky. I thought you were going to say 2.
I can do 2. So yeah, first one I think would be something with regard, like I'm an Xbox fan, so I would love to say something in the world of gaming. So whether this was to have invented the first Xbox, or to in the future develop something around like gaming and use it like Xboxes, and to make it sort of even more interactive, more engaging, more like responsive and sort of interesting in that field, that would be really great. Second thing, I guess, is because I'm a comic book fan as well, and because I love Marvel, I would have loved to have, maybe not have invented Marvel as a whole, because that is a lot. But to have been a part of that creation, and like there's so many iconic characters, there's so many people, like the story behind the character, like I could even do a whole episode on that, but like the story behind certain characters and why they exist, and like for example the story behind Black Panther and why that character came out when they did was so interesting. The story behind Spider-Man and why in a time when like a lot of superheroes, like you didn't get a teenage superhero. The teenager was literally just a sidekick and was like this geeky guy that wouldn't necessarily do great things, but you know, you're being told by like the person who created him, Stan Lee, and Steve Ditko, but there was a talk that Stan Lee did about why he liked, it's sort of encouraging people to like not listen to, you can't always listen to some people's advice because people will say what you're doing is stupid. Yeah. And he was literally saying that when he pitched Spider-Man, people were just like, oh, one, he's a teenager, like we only successful superheroes are adults. Like you got to be like a, you know, in their like 30s or 40s, and they can have a teenage sidekick, but no, they can't be the main character. And then two, he was just like, no, what? Well, people hate spiders, so people just like to him, you know, just like, why would someone care about a guy who's like who's got the powers of a spider? It doesn't make sense. And he was saying, no, the whole reason about Spider-Man, and he said like one of the reasons why he likes the Spider-Man, I know like in now like this, literally like this was year Across Spider-Verse came out and showed there's a plethora of spider people, but he said the reason why he liked that Spider-Man wore a mask is because unlike with characters like Superman or Batman or Captain America, where you can see their face, you know that they're particularly like a white character. He said like one of the things that he likes about Spider-Man is Spider-Man goes like as a superhero has a pretty rough life. Like most do. It's rare to find a superhero whose parents or families are okay. They joke that like if you become a superhero, like someone in your family best like start praying or leave that family because bad things will happen. But yeah, I think for me, the most important thing was I like that he said that he wanted anyone to just identify with Spider-Man. He wants them to see him and not be like, oh yeah, he's a white superhero, but he'd be like, yes, Spider-Man is like Peter Parker is white, but like when he's wearing that mask and he's going through tough times and he's dealing with all these issues, people can just relate to him as a person and be like, hey, look, he's having a tough time. I've had a tough time. So my dream would be, like, I'm saying it now, Marvel, if you want me in I'll take anything. Video game, TV series, like movie, if you need me. Sponsorship. If you want me to do a Marvel podcast, I'm down. But yeah, I think to be involved in Marvel in some way, would be, like, even if I could create a new character today, that would be, you know, I don't know how many Nigerians.
What character would it be?
Ooh, like would I like to create it? Ooh,
would it be in the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, you know what? Like Miles Morales, when he came out, was one of my favorite characters. Because I like first of all his dual heritage of both being like Black and Latino, and the fact that they actually discuss that, like I said, man, I'm a comic fan, but they literally discuss that, like when people see him, they just see that he's Black, so they're just like, oh, he's African American, and people just like, oh, we got a Black Spider-Man, and he was like, no, like I'm not just like, I don't want you to see him as Black Spider-Man or like Latino Spider-Man, like no, like I'm Spider-Man, period. Like I this is who I am, but this is that. So yeah, Miles Morales would definitely be one of them. Obviously, Black Panther would be a nice one too. But yeah, literally, I think I don't know, like. Don't come for me. But I don't think there is a Nigerian superhero. So to create a Nigerian...
I don't think there is.
I don't think there is. So to create a Nigerian superhero...
oh, you could do one that can save us from 419.
No, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. One that can save us from the Yahoo boys.
But yeah, I think that would have to be the thing, that if I was to create a superhero.
You can change the narrative.
Exactly.
From the Yoruba demon to the Yoruba sailor.
But yeah, I think that would be it. But yeah, we've come to the MC of the month. This time, I think to fit with the wholeheartedness of the episode, rather than like an organisation or a specific individual, I would like to say, you know, if you're a person of colour, but particularly if you're a Black person in STEM and you're doing amazing work, you are MC of the month. And the reason why is because, literally like we spoke about today, you're making change. You're sharing your story. You are letting people see that whatever space you're in, they can go in and see that there's someone like them. So you might not feel like it, and I know from people who have worked in fields where they particularly don't have a lot of Black people or people of colour, you can feel like, gosh, this day or this workplace sucks, or work sucks, and you feel like you're not doing anything good. But yeah, just know that there are people out there that are looking at you and they're thinking, wow, you're in this field, you're doing amazing work. And yeah. And also, I feel like I didn't mention it when we said it, but as you were saying, Abigail, like there is a tendency when we, as like, particularly like, I feel like black people do this a lot, but when we fail or when things don't work, or even when we do win, we don't always shout about it from the rooftops. No. So yeah, this is your opportunity. Like, if you're doing amazing work, put it in the comments, put it on LinkedIn, like, share it, like, let the world know that you're doing like amazing stuff, because yeah, you are. So be proud of yourselves. But yeah, we've now gone to the last section, the takeaway section, where our audience, like I said, we're not sponsored. Deliveroo will not be giving you a discount code from watching this, but instead, we would like you to let our audience know essentially what is the one thing from everything we've talked about today. What's the one thing they should go home thinking about?
I would say rejection is redirection, guys. Don't give up. Yeah.
And I would say share your story. Don't be shy to share your story, especially your failures. Like, let people know that, this is where I came from and this is where I am now, because you don't know who you will aspire.
100%. Before we actually do end this, because I think before we wrap everything up, this would be the nice way to lead on. You guys mentioned, as we mentioned, you've celebrated a year.
Yes.
What is coming in this new year? Are there anything that our audience can be like, ooh, they got this to look forward to?
Well, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
But I don't know what to give away.
Yeah,
well, I will say we've got a lot of great collaborations coming up.
Yes. Events.
And we're really tackling the STEM one by one. So science, technology, engineering, maths. We're really, so really watch out on our page for upcoming events.
Yes.
And we've got some really exciting things coming up even before the end of the year.
Yeah. And merch.
Yes.
Finally we're releasing the merch, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of outreach work as well. So also, if anyone's interested, just a little plug. If you're interested in that kind of work, get in contact with us. We can see how we can help, because because kids need to see that representation, and so we can all do it together. So.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Thank you. And thank you both Abigail and Donna for coming on to today's episode.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
If our audience want to know more about you, they want to support SiSTEM, how do they do that?
You can follow us on all platforms. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and our @ is @SiSTEM UK for all of the platforms. Please follow us, engage with us. Yeah, we're very active on all those platforms, so we would love to say hi to you guys. Yeah, you are our family. Sisters.
Oh, perfect. And thank you to you, our wonderful audience, for coming back for another episode. If you like this episode, like, comment, and subscribe is always appreciated. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of our podcasts or any of our other episodes, please make sure that you click the notification bell at the bottom of the video. Finally, if you're interested in receiving some perks, supporting the podcast, we can't do this without your amazing support, please do check out our Patreon page, which is in our description below. And finally, if you're interested in checking out any of our other podcasts as well, please do check out our main page. You'll see them as like under the Pick Up the Mic network, which have our Senses of Anime, so anime podcast, Pick Up the Controller, our gaming podcast, and finally the Two Maesters with Joshua and Morgan. But yeah, that's it. We're going to close this chapter of the Student Guide, and we'll see you next time when we open a new chapter with new guest speakers, and yes, I believe in a new location. If not, you'll find out. But yeah, see you guys later and have a nice day.
Bye.